Welcome everyone to today's new video. Again, I'm going to go ahead and begin a series where I go over annotated book collections. Again, this first one is called the First Book of Morphy. I have the book right here. I'm going to be going over the first game, going over the moves, the explanations from the book, alternative variations as well. And that's it. Let's go ahead and get started. So, before we start, again, I chose this book because I think it's a great book for beginners up to, I would say, up to 1200 chess.com. Again, emphasizing controlling the center, developing your pieces. And then through Paul Morphy's game, he uses this to generate an attack with the opponent. You'll also see the opponent waste time in the opening, just playing a bunch of time-wasting move, a bunch of pawn moves. And because Morphy is already castled and developed with his pieces, he starts attacking quickly the opponent, right? Which results in Morphy having a better position. And then that's how you often encounter tactics and checkmating combinations. So Morphy here said, or the book says about Morphy, it says to think about the board not as flat but like a hill, and in the middle is the top of the hill, so you want to control the hill pretty much like high ground, right? So you want to start off by putting a pawn here, e4 or d4, controlling the center, and then your pieces towards the center so they control center squares. Okay, so let's start with the game. White plays e4. Offers control of d5 and f5. Opens up the queen and the bishop. Again, no other move does so much good. And then black plays h6. Again, this is a time-wasting move. It does not control the center. It doesn't develop a piece, right? So it doesn't do any of those. So now white plays d4, controlling more of the center. Black plays a5. Okay. Now white plays bishop d3. Takes greater control over the square e5. Okay. By advancing f4. Okay, got you. If he played knight f3, then he would block the f pawn, right? So knight e2 blocks the bishop. If he plays knight e2 first, he blocks his own bishop. Okay, and then he says if white just plays f4 first, it doesn't help white's development, right? So he's saying that here white already has control of the center. Playing f4 would be going for more center control, right? Which is kind of getting greedy. In this case, this square is already controlled by h6, so it opts out for bishop d4, which develops a piece. And later on, you still have the possibility to go f4 later on in the game. Okay, so we have some moves here without explanations. b6, the game continues. Knight e2. Again, not blocking the pawn, giving a chance to play f4. Just keep in mind that it does block the queen from going to these squares for the time being. e6. Castles. Bishop a6. Right? Okay. So again, here if you trade, again you just give white a developing move because he recaptures with developing the knight. So white plays c4, blocking the bishop. Tighter grip on d5. Avoids the exchange of bishops because black is kind of pushed back. White has greater space. You're saying that black it helps black's position to trade off the bishops. Again, so black plays knight f6. The knight has no support in the center. It cannot move forward if it is jabbed, only backward. Okay? So that means if white had tried to play d5, right, d5, white would have an advantage, right? Let's say black wanted to play d5. So here's a different variation, not played in the game. If black want to go d5, then c captures d5, e captures d5, e captures d5, queen captures d5. Rook e1. And white has advantage in time and space, plus a threat of knight f4 with the discovered check winning the queen. Okay. So again, black plays knight f6. Now white kicks the knight out with e5. Again, white's dominance in the center enables him to push the black knight while gaining space and freeing his bishop. Right. So now this kicks the knight out and frees the diagonal for the white bishop. So now knight h7, f4, bishop e7, knight g3. Again, it says here white has moved the knight a second time, but knight g3 aids in the aggressive development of another piece by opening the queen's diagonal so that she may play queen f3 to attack the rook, or queen g4 to threaten the g7 pawn. Queen c2 looks more immediately menacing, but bishop captures h7 falls to g6 because it surrounds the bishop. Right, so it's saying even if you, again, this is breaking opening principles, right? Kind of opening principle says, like, do not touch each piece twice in the opening, right? Develop all your pieces, and then start attacking. Here, Morphy breaks this principle because the knight gets closer to the king side where black is going to castle. And then it's going to help his attack later on, right? And once the knight is here in g3, the queen has this diagonal now. Right, so with knight g3, you have different threats. You can go here, queen f3 to attack the rook. You can go queen c2 to put more pressure on the knight. Right, so now you go queen c2. Here. Again, if you take on h7, then black plays g6, trapping the bishop. In that case, the best move would be bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes. And then after that, black has to defend over here, right? So it doesn't look... taking on h7 doesn't look too good. The other threat is queen g4, attacking the pawn here, which would have to force black to play g6. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Let me just try to find where I'm at. Okay, so knight g3, and then black plays d5. Threatening to capture on c4. Now, again, you can focus on this. However, if you have a bigger threat, which we already talked about with the queen, right, then you can go ahead and play that first because black has to deal with the bigger threat first. So white plays queen g4. It says now if d captures c4, white wins material by bishop e4, queen d4, king h1, c6, queen g7. So now if black wants to take, we play here, bishop e4 attacking the rook. Queen takes with check. King h1. And then black blocks with c6. And then queen takes g7. So that could be an alternative. So let's go back here to knight g3. Where were we? Okay, so we go queen g4. So black castles. Knight h5. Again, moving the knight again. But again, it's part of the attack, right? So this time, the reason why he's moving the knight is because he's going straight for checkmate, right? Says a third knight move, but threats overrule the principles. White threatens queen g7 mate. And if g6, then bishop g6 wins. So it goes here, takes, queen h8, and then queen g7 mate. So let's go ahead and play this variation. All right, takes, check here, then queen g7 is mate. So black plays g5. White's checkmating threat compelled black to expose his king. Again, he's blocking the threat, but he's leaving his king exposed. These squares are now vulnerable. Right? fg5. H captures g6. Again, it's saying that if white capture with either the bishop or the knight, then it's going to be pinned. And then now we attack that piece with h4 and we win that piece with the pawn. So that's why black plays h captures g5. Now bishop captures h7. Check. It says if king captures h7, let's go ahead and play this variation out. White has a winning attack. King h7, knight f6. Bishop captures f6. E captures f6. Rook h8. Queen g5. Queen f8. Wait, where's queen g5? I'm sorry. Not queen h5 check, but queen captures g5. Queen f8 now. And white finishes by bringing up another piece, rook f3. And 18 rook h3 with a checkmate. Right. So that's what happens if black takes. So black plays king h8. Knight f6. Makes way for the queen and bishop to join the game on g5, right? So the bishop can join by taking here, or the queen can keep continuing by taking here. Prepares queen h5. And this move guards the bishop, right? So the knight guards the bishop, blocks black's bishop, and queen h5 also defends the bishop. D captures c4. Now white brings the bishop back. Okay, so if queen h5 here, to say in a variation, if queen h5 here, black is able to defend with queen captures d4 check, king move, or you can block with the, again block winning with the bishop. If you take, then it's a winning attack, right? Then white plays queen h4 to trade queens and try to kill off the attack. So that's what happens in that case. Okay, bishop c2. So now white plays the same thing. Queen captures d4 check. Okay, so now white trades. The queen is pinned. Queen captures c5. B captures c5. Now bishop captures g5. Knight c6. Again, finally developing the knight. Rook f3. King g7. Bishop h6. Check. A clever sacrifice, forcing the black king to the h file where the white rook and knight cooperate. On the less aggressive rook h3, then rook h8 defends the file. Okay. So a sacrifice, if white goes rook h3 first, then black defends with rook h8. If black goes king h8, it's saying that rook h3 leaves black helpless. So black takes on h6, rook h3 check, king g5, rook h5 check, king f4, king f2, cutting off some squares for the king. It says bringing up more new fours, so white king cuts off e3 and f3. As flight squares and threatens g3 mate. The same neat motif appears again in the note. Okay. Rook g8, g3, rook g3, hg3 mate. Okay. So here to defend mate. Now black has to sack the rook, and this is checkmate. Again, it says the winning recipe is to blend better center control, better development, and better king safety in that order. Then from that superior position, opening a file for that heavy pieces to attack the king, while looking at every move that threatens the king or smaller unit and bring up unused force. So let's go back and go over some of the moves. So how did white gain a superior position? Pretty much just black gave him a better position, right? White has control of the center. Black is wasting time. Here, white gains more space in the center, kicking the knight out. And then because of this, a more principled player will develop the bishop first, right? The knight first, and then attack. But here, again, Morphy just generates a quick attack. Again, he castles first, plays f3, moves the knight to g3. He knows the black king is going to castle short side, so he's kind of anticipating that. A more experienced player will probably wait and castle queenside if possible. And there is, this is a quick attack, right? And then finally, when the king is trapped, he brings up rook f3, right? And in the case of more reinforcements, again, white can just develop the knight either here or here, then bring in the rook to help as well. There it is. All right, guys, we'll see you all in the next video.